One of the primary building blocks in languages are nouns. Nouns are basically names or designation for things. For example, let's say car in English. In English, you can say that there's only one car when you put an a car, put the a in front of the car, or you can make the car plural. There are a lot of cars by putting an s following the word cars. So Hebrew similarly has what we call numbers associated with nouns. There are ways to express if there was only one thing or maybe more than one thing, what we call plural. But one concept that English speakers struggle with is the concept of gendered noun. That is, each noun also has its intrinsic gender. English has some words like this. For example, you can say a cow for a female cattle or a bull to express a male cattle. But with Hebrew, you have this with everything. For those who can speak Spanish, French, or other languages, this is going to be familiar because many languages have this gender distinction for nouns. Let's take, for example, the word lechem. It means bread. Lechem, with the word itself, without anything preceding or following it, is singular. And that's always the case. Noun with its triliteral root is always singular by definition. How about the gender of lechem or any noun? Well, lechem by default is a masculine noun because it's not like they thought that only male ate bread or anything. No, in the Hebrew language, every noun has its own gender. So lechem is inherently masculine. And what's confusing is some words in a triliteral root is also feminine. For example, eretz. The word eretz means land or earth, and it means the gender between eretz is feminine. Well, maybe some of us know this expression called Mother Earth. So maybe the Hebrew speaking people, the Israelites, had a similar concept of like the earth as being motherly. But how about if we wanted to make a singular noun into a plural noun? Well, with Hebrew, just as English follows a word with an S to express its plurality, Hebrew will also express its plurality by adding an ending. And with Hebrew, the masculine plural ending is im. So, for example, sus means horse. Let's say horses. You would put the im ending and write it as susim. But one thing that you have to know is that often when you make a noun plural, it has something called a vowel change or vowel reduction. How you say the word changes by putting an ending. This is because the accent of the word shifts. Hebrew, by definition, usually places its accent of the word at the last syllable. But when you put im ending or some form of what I call big endings at the end, it seems to pull the accent of the word even back further. So let's take, for example, melech. Melech means king or a king. If we want to make melech plural, just as I say, you're going to put the im ending. So you guess that, isn't it melechim? Well, not quite. You put the im ending, but also there's something called a propretonic reduction. It's a fancy word to say that the very first syllable usually has its vowel reduced to something less. So actually, what we're going to see is the vowel pointing is pointed as melachim. And under the mem, the first letter, you can see that there's a sheva. If you remember our vowel rules, sheva is almost like a half vowel. Very short. So you can see that segel has reduced to a sheva in this instance. Here's another rule. Usually Hebrew has 3 letters, right? Most words or verbs has 3 letters. This is called a triliteral root. So the examples that we've dealt with so far has 3 consonants, usually as its root letter. But some Hebrew words are 2 consonants. They only have 2 consonants. So with these instances, there's a slight difference in how you write the letter when it becomes plural. Let's take, for example, the word sack, which is like sackcloth. Sack is written with a sin and a kof, these 2 letters. But if you put a plural, the im ending, what ends up happening is you put a dagesh forte in the second radical letter. So here what essentially happens is, as you remember, at this point, there's a virtual doubling. So it's pronounced as sakim. The first kof is doubled to finish the first syllable, sak, and the virtually doubled kof begins the next syllable, kim, sak, kim. So as you'll see, therefore, the kof with its dagesh has a double function. Hebrew also has something called a dual ending. Dual means two, so it usually expresses that there are only two of it. It's not one, it's not plural as in three or more, but dual endings usually occur in words that happen in pairs, for example, like hands. But let's try seeing this with the word sus, which is horse. Susim, as you remember, is the plural for horses. But let's say there are specifically two horses, a pair of horses. In this case, you put the dual ending, which is a'im. There's a patach, followed by a hirik yod and mem. By putting the a'im ending, susa'im, now we have the dual form, two horses. Earlier I mentioned how triliteral roots by nature have a gender. That it could be either masculine, feminine, and for those who are wondering, well, how can I tell? Well, the best way to do it is you actually need to go to a lexicon, fancy word for Hebrew dictionary, and it will list the gender of a noun. That being said, in addition to these nouns without endings that are naturally feminine, there are also some endings on a noun that hints to us or indicate to us that it's likely feminine. The first example are nouns ending with a kametse. For example, susa, that will be sus is horse, susa with the kametse ending would naturally be the word for mare. Another type of ending would be a tav ending. Nouns concluding with a tav, its various form, as you see on the PowerPoint, can be a feminine noun. So now that you know that how a feminine singular noun can look in its various forms without an ending, maybe with a kametse ending or a tav ending, now how can we make a noun, for example, let's say shana here, year, into a feminine plural form? Well, the key characteristic for a plural noun is a holim vav and a tav ending. It's a ot ending. That's how it will be pronounced, ot. Here's what might be confusing. If you have a noun with a kametse ending, for example, like shana, as we have it here, what you're going to see is the kametse ending, remember it's simply a vowel, will be replaced by the ot ending. That is, instead of having shana ot, now we're going to have shenot. The kametse disappears and is replaced by the feminine plural ending ot. For those who've noticed that under the shin, the first radical letter, now that you have a sheva under it, you've probably guessed correctly that just as masculine plural nouns that has a vowel reduction, also with the feminine plural ending, there will be a vowel reduction under the first radical letter. Instead of replacing anything, the ot ending, the feminine plural ending, will simply be added to the noun. Just as masculine nouns had a dual ending, remember it's a'im with the patach vowel, feminine nouns also have a dual ending. The feminine dual ending, just like the masculine dual ending, is preceded with the a vowel. So instead of ot, which is your standard plural ending, what we're going to have is a ta im. So what might be shocking to you is at this point you know that im usually indicate a masculine plural. Well, this is why it's really important to know that even the vowels or consonant preceding a im is critical for you to properly translate or interpret a passage. A ta im, that is a kamatz, tav with a patak under it, with a hirik yod, and mem is a feminine dual ending. So the example we have here is shena ta'im. Here, you can tell that this is not years in plural, but it is a dual ending, 2 years. For those who like to see everything at the end, here's one slide with a chart of all the endings. You're going to notice, just as a quick review, masculine singular nouns do not have any ending. You just have to look at a lexicon and know that it's either masculine or feminine. To make a masculine noun plural, you put the im ending. To make it dual, that is two or a pair of it, you put the a-im ending. Feminine noun in the singular form has three forms. One, without any ending, it will look like any masculine noun. It could have a kamete ending, a ending to it, or it could have some form of a tab ending to indicate that it's a singular feminine noun. To make a feminine noun plural, you put the ot ending at the end. And to make a singular noun dual, you put the ata-im ending.